Before Nitro 10 begins, we at GA Wrestling would like to send our deepest condolences to the family of John Huber, known to all of us wrestling fans as Luke Harper or Brodie Lee. Huber passed away suddenly on December 26, 2020 at the age of 41. He was a phenomenal professional wrestler, but more importantly, by all accounts, he was a great father and a great man. In the description, you will find some links to support Huber's wife and 2 children. May he rest in peace, and may God bless his family. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to GAW Nitro 10. We are here at Shea Stadium in New York for the biggest show of the year. This first episode sees history being made as 4 active GAW Academy competitors compete at Nitro for the first time ever. But that's not all. The rest of the show is absolutely stacked. Will Ospreay etched his name into the history books by unifying the GAW Cruiserweight and Intercontinental Championships. Now he gets a chance to win that title back from the Mob's Bobby Lashley. Keith Lee and Matt Riddle's friendship collapsed, and now the 2 are out for blood. But now instead of shoulders on the mat for 3, it's back on the floor for 10 in a last man standing match. Women's World Champion Asuka is nearing the 2-year mark with the title, and 2 challengers step up on the biggest show of the year. GAW's hottest young rookie, Caitlin Dunlap, and its most hated pariah, Dakota Kai, both get their shot in the first ever 2-match turmoil. Dakota Kai's Team Kick teammate, Tegan Knox, gets a chance to fight Rosita with the newly debuted Hernandez in her corner. GAW's 2 most powerful organizations meet. Only one will leave intact when the Mob battles the Blade Runners. It's a match nearly 10 years in the making, featuring 2 of the greatest champions in tag team wrestling today. It's the Usos versus the Gorillas of Destiny for the GAW Tag Team Championships. And in the main event, for the 5th straight year, the GAW Classic Champion battles the World Champion. The Dutch Destroyer, the world's most dangerous striker, Aleister Black, tries to make it 3 wins in a row for the Classic Champion. But the best bout machine, the greatest GAW champion of all time, Kenny Omega, stands in his way. Yes, this is the biggest show of the year, and what better way to kick it off than with history, as we welcome the first active GAW Academy prospects to the Nitro stage. I don't think there's any better woman to make this history than this woman, Lazara, the current GAW Academy Women's Champion. And you can see coming out without her face paint. That's not something we've seen ever on the GAW Academy Storm Chaser series. And if you haven't been keeping up with the Storm Chaser tournament, what you need to know is anything can happen in any match. The knockout portion of the tournament is starting this Wednesday. And Lazara has been on the wrong end of huge upsets, including Caitlin Dunlap, who will be, of course, competing for the Women's World Championship tonight. For that reason, Dunlap is not going to compete in this match, where she was supposed to. It was supposed to be the number 1 and 2 seed. Lazara is number 1, but we'll see who is going to replace GAW's hottest young rookie as Dunlap prepares for her championship match. And this is none other than Queen Alexia. Let me tell you something about Queen Alexia. She has been pro not even for 6 months, okay? She spent every day of her pro career so far in the GAW Academy, learning the basics of wrestling, training, getting up to the point where she can compete on the highest level. Despite her inexperience, every coach and trainer that I've spoken to says that Queen Alexia is the single best athlete they have ever seen. And so that is beyond high praise for Queen Alexia. And talk about making your debut, your first televised competitive match is at the biggest show on the planet. Unbelievable. I mean, this is almost unthinkable to think a woman making her competitive debut on the biggest show of the year. I mean, it's unreal to think about. But you know what? This is what the GAW Academy is about, really. I mean, this is what we've always done. It's about giving people opportunities and allowing them to make themselves into stars. And this isn't the first example of this. I mean, you talk about Alexia making her debut at Nitro, but you've also got Caitlin Dunlap fighting one of GAW's greatest ever champions, Asuka, for the belt. You're talking about Yun-Son Park winning a championship in his first night with the company. I mean, this is typical of what GAW Academy prospects can do. And this could be the star-making performance for Alexia. It could be the star-making performance for Lazara. Look at this knee into the lariat from the women's champion. And it could be the star-making performance for Eddie Hernandez or Oliver Parker. That match is coming up next. And of course, we got a whole lot to talk about there as Lazara going to the top. Queen Alexia going outside to do a little coaching, and Lazara catches her with a double sledge from the top. Lazara read it all the way. She knew what Alexia was going for. And Alexia, obviously her inexperience is going to play a part here. Lazara DDTs her on the outside because you've got Alexia, who's been pro for less than 6 months, and you've got Lazara, who's been a champion in multiple promotions, a champion here in the GAW Academy, but a woman who has lost her focus in a lot of ways. She's admitted to it. You know, she's taken losses. And it has not been the best time of her career in a lot of ways because, you know, she has said herself that she's struggling mentally with what's going on in the GAW Academy right now. That changes the idea that Lazara is considered one of the favorites to win the Storm Chaser tournament. Oh, Lazara, soul kick, rising knee, another kick combination and a takedown. The one-way ticket to Wednesday Night Storm awaits the winner of the Storm Chaser tournament, and that very well could be Lazara. And I think she's been struggling with that, given everything that, you know, has been going on with Eddie Hernandez and so forth. And now Alexia plants her with a belly-to-belly suplex. One thing you gotta know about Alexia is that she possesses absolutely frightening strength, deceptive strength for her size. The Queen of Knights. And now Lazara trying to drop Alexia, and Alexia answers with the lariat. Lazara was going for the where I've been, but Alexia answers with a big-time lariat, and now Alexia lines up the GAW Academy Women's Champion. Alexia looking for Queen's crown, but Lazara able to avoid it. Gets a few elbows to the dome and stops Alexia from potentially putting her away. Lazara now whips her over the top, and the Women's Champion just trying to get some kind of momentum here. Like I said, she hasn't really been right. She hasn't been there mentally since all of this started with Eddie Hernandez and the GAW Academy, and now Lazara caught between a rock and a hard place in a lot of ways. Alexia suplex into a backbreaker. Now Lazara wants to win the Storm Chaser tournament, of course, as does every other competitor in the Academy, but the idea that she could be leaving her home, as she says, has been something that she has struggled with in her own mind. But she is giving it 100% here against the Queen of Knights, and Lazara, powerbomb! Oh my goodness, and then Lazara, standing shooting star on the outside. This is the GAW Academy Women's Champion, and again, baits in Queen Alexia and hits her with the combination. This is the level that Lazara has been wrestling at for most of the Storm Chaser tournament. Of course, the knockout stages begin on Wednesday. The first round of the knockout tournament begins on Wednesday, right before the new year. And so Lazara needs to figure it out quickly. And now, after an absolute onslaught on the outside, Lazara going for the pin. Alexia kicks out. Alexia withstands a power bomb apron, standing shooting star kick combination, and getting her head thrown into some steel steps, and comes back with a belly-to-belly. Lazara could be in trouble as Alexia going for her first pro win. Lazara kicks out. What a moment this would be for Queen Alexia. To think that she could get her first pro win over the best wrestler in the Academy, even if Lazara is not at her mental peak right now. Lazara trying to ensure that that doesn't happen as she introduces Queen Alexia to her first pro turnbuckle. And now Lazara could be looking to end it here using her superior size with a neck breaker. I would say superior size and strength, but I'm not sure she has the strength advantage over the Queen of Knights. But now Lazara gets her into the possibly make my fortune, countered into a lariat by Alexia. That's exactly how we saw Caitlin Dunlap beat the women's champion just a few weeks ago on GAW Academy Storm Chaser. But Lazara staying on top against Alexia and drops her down. Lazara really using the strength, and now you can see how big Lazara is. That's something that gets lost a lot of times in her matches. She has incredible size. One of the biggest competitors you'll ever see in the women's division, but of course, tremendously athletic as well. But now Alexia comes off the ropes, gets a running start for that heavy right hand, and I told you, deceptive strength on Queen Alexia. And now she's trying to use it once again, looking for Queen's crown. Lazara able to avoid it for about the 5th time in this match, and now introduces an elbow to the back of the neck, and now Lazara, make my fortune. That's gotta be it. Lazara hooks the leg, and Lazara makes history. Lazara becomes the first ever Academy prospect to compete in a match at Nitro and win a match at Nitro. The first ever active Academy prospect. But what a battle and what a moment for Queen Alexia. What an absolutely unbelievable moment for the woman that has been pro for all of 6 months. The future is bright for Alexia, but Lazara may finally have figured things out for herself. Coming up next in the final match of this first part, Eddie Hernandez and Oliver Parker battle in a match that has enticed every viewer of the Storm Chaser tournament. If you're not familiar with Oliver Parker's entrance, get used to it. The Oni King will be here for a long, long time, and I can say that with complete confidence because of the success that Oliver Parker has enjoyed throughout his entire career. I mean, you think he's successful now in the GAW Academy, but this is a man who is the first ever American to be considered Dragon Gate Trueborn, meaning that he trained in professional wrestling at the Dragon Gate Academy. He's a former welterweight champion in Pancrase. He's a former Open the Brave Gate champion over in Dragon Gate in Japan. This is a guy that has had success literally everywhere he's been from the time he was in Little League. So get used to seeing him. He's gonna be here a while.
Bring me back to where
Meanwhile, Eddie Hernandez has enjoyed a career redefinition over the last few weeks. Eddie Hernandez, for most of his time in the GAW Academy, was a very soft-spoken, very dangerous, very brutal gang leader, essentially. He was the head of the Hernandez brothers, and he was one of the most feared men in the GAW Academy because of his brutal nature. But over the last few weeks, what he's done, the way he's treated the GAW Academy, has led to an absolute revolution in Hernandez's career. And now Eddie Hernandez gets to show everyone what he's capable of on the biggest stage. He gets to show the change in his career and how different of a man he is. Hernandez and Parker have come from two completely different backgrounds. Parker, of course, is MMA trained. He trained in professional wrestling in Japan. And meanwhile, Eddie Hernandez is trained in underground fighting and bare-knuckle boxing. And he was trained in professional wrestling in southern Texas. So this is a guy who has just a completely opposite style to Oliver Parker. And now Parker with this knee bar here. You can see the submission background of Parker. He doesn't always use it to get wins, but it's certainly something he's capable of doing. Meanwhile, Eddie Hernandez has this underground fighting style that has helped ingratiate himself to the fans. Cover here, Parker kicks out. As well as everything he's done for the Academy. And he is a big reason when you hear anyone in the Academy talk about how the GAW Academy is home and talking about all of these, how the Academy stacks up to the quote-unquote main roster and everything like that. That all comes from Eddie Hernandez. He's the one who started this whole revolution. But now Eddie Hernandez into a grounded figure four, and he's turning on his side as well. That's immense pressure on the knees. But Oliver Parker, you can see his long arms. That helped him well when he was a welterweight mixed martial artist, and now it's helping him again here against Hernandez. Back elbow, Gamangiri combination. And now Oliver Parker, arm trapped, eats a forearm from Chopper, and Hernandez with a head scissors. Beautifully done from Eddie Hernandez, who is undefeated in the Storm Chaser tournament. A tournament that Oliver Parker had been the #1 seed in for a long time, almost the duration of it. But Parker fell on the second to last week of the competition. He fell to his bitter rival, Andrew Wesley. And meanwhile, Eddie Hernandez beat Kurt Andrews in the final day, in the final match of the group stages, to become the #1 seed. And Hernandez has been responsible for so many memorable moments in the Storm Chaser series, whether it's his brutal battle, Sling Blade from Oliver Parker, his brutal battle with Yun Son Park, one of the legends of the GAW Academy. Hernandez brought in Lars Nightfall. He helped bring in Lancelot, the 123-time champion. He helped bring in Frankie Omega. He had a rousing and unbelievable speech before a Storm Chaser show where he declared that the Academy was no longer secondary to Wednesday Night Storm. And so all of these memorable moments have helped make Eddie Hernandez the stuff of legend in the GAW Academy. And if you're not watching the Storm Chaser tournament, you have to be, because this guy is absolutely worth watching. Look at this. Parker slingshots Hernandez all the way across the ring into the second rope. Hernandez took that one straight to the throat, but Hernandez answers with an uppercut, and now Chopper. Nice snapmare. And Hernandez using this leg scissors around the upper body of Parker. Hernandez has incredibly strong lower body because of his underground boxing background, but Oliver Parker able to get a few elbows in. That's from his MMA background. Parker's what we call an 8-point striker. I'm sure you've heard me talk about that when it comes to Aleister Black. They're the same in that regard as Parker sends Hernandez over the top. Parker with a heavy right hand. Remember the striking prowess of Oliver Parker. Even though Parker is known as a professional wrestler, he does have that MMA background, and so it makes him a dangerous striker on top of everything else. Hernandez, meanwhile, deceptively athletic, and his big moves actually both come from the top rope. The drive-by and the speakeasy. Hernandez back into the ring as Parker beckoned him back in, and Hernandez catches him sleeping. Hernandez drops him down into a powerbomb, but Hernandez keeps it down. Second one, Hernandez holds on, triple powerbomb. That's a way to get the fans fired up for Eddie Hernandez, and now Hernandez needs to take a breather as Oliver Parker is completely grounded here. What a crazy match this has been so far. Hernandez takes a step back. Hernandez watches the kick float by, but Oliver Parker now catches Hernandez sleeping with a neck breaker. What you're witnessing here is absolute history, because these two men are active GAW Academy competitors, and yet here they are at Nitro in front of 50,000 fans, and Hernandez comes by with the knee strike. Hernandez grounds Parker with that running knee strike, but I think he knows that's not going to be enough. He's used it to end matches in the past, but Oliver Parker is not a normal opponent. And now Parker sends Hernandez out of the ring, and Parker is there to follow him. This could mean bad news for Chopper as Parker has his sights in. Oh my God, I think we saw Lazar do this earlier. Parker power bombs him against the LED board. And now Oliver Parker waits for him to get to his feet, and Hernandez sees a potentially dangerous situation coming in a heavy right hand to the abs. Hernandez coming by looking for the head scissors. Parker out of the way. Rising knee strike countered, and Parker takes the opportunity to roll back into the ring. Hernandez follows him. Irish whip into the corner. Hernandez running by, elbow, Gary combination. The exact same thing that Oliver Parker did in the exact same corner earlier in the match. Hernandez targets the arm, and now Eddie Hernandez slowly makes his way to the top. Hernandez, I told you that his big moves come from up high. And now Hernandez, speakeasy. Chopper Hernandez at Nitro 10, the speakeasy. Eddie Hernandez, no! Oliver Parker just lifts his left shoulder up, and now Eddie Hernandez ascends to the top once again. Hernandez, drive by, nobody home. Parker stands him up. Parker looking for the Brave Gate, but Hernandez drops him down with that single arm takedown. Wow, what a match we are witnessing here. This is unbelievable, and now Hernandez lays him out with a running knee strike. You can hear the fans getting the charge behind Chopper, and now Eddie Hernandez goes for the pin. Hernandez with the 2, no! Oliver Parker somehow manages to kick out again. This is absolutely unbelievable what we're witnessing in this match. Hernandez elbow to the gut, and now Hernandez boot has Parker up into a powerbomb position, but turns it into a Yokosuka cutter. Dropped Parker head first, and you can see Parker's been busted open right on his forehead as Hernandez once again to the top. Hernandez looking for the speakeasy, and Parker gets the knees up. He hit it once already, and now Parker, Brave Gate. A reference to his time in Dragon Gate, and now Parker going for the win with the leg hooked. Oliver Parker picks up the win. Oliver Parker withstands the speakeasy. He withstands 2 running knee strikes. But that power bomb onto the LED board, the Brave Gate, and Oliver Parker, the Oni King, has pulled off the upset of Eddie Hernandez in what could be one of the matches of the show. And that's exactly what these 2 guys deserve. I think there's no question. Hey, listen up. Listen up. Oliver Parker invited me back in here because he knows, Lazara knows, Queen Alexia knows, even Caitlin Dunlap knows that I got something that I need to say. And everybody in the GAW Academy wants me to say it. If you've been watching GAW Academy Storm Chaser for the last few months, you know that there is more pride in the Academy on the part of us, on the part of the wrestlers, than in any other promotion that you will ever find. We take pride in where we are. It's not just a job. It's not just a paycheck. It's not just an organization. It's our home. You've heard me use that word before. You heard it first when I was talking to Yunsan Park. It's called home. And when you're home, anything that happens becomes your responsibility. And everyone in your home becomes your family. Which is why I'm out here speaking on the part of Oliver Parker, speaking on behalf of Lazara, speaking on behalf of everybody in the Storm Chaser tournament. Yes, I lost. And you know what? Sometimes that happens. But when you're home, you have a community, you have a family that you go back to. They pick you up. They stand you up back on your feet. They tell you it's gonna be okay. They get you back in the gym. They're the reason that you go to work every day. They're the reason why work doesn't feel like work. They're the reason why championships are not the pinnacle. Championships are what you work for. Championships are what you fight for, but the pinnacle is when you keep your family safe, when you keep your family secure. And that means your blood family, but that also means my family, our family in the GAW Academy. And that brings me to this, the reason why I'm here. The reason why, even though I've just lost, Oliver Parker has asked me to speak. Because I want you to know. I want each and every one of you to know this. If you are not watching GAW Academy Storm Chaser, watch it. Watch it. The knockout tournament begins on Wednesday. And you need to watch it. Because the GAW Academy is the future of GAW, and I don't mean that GAW Academy's best will head up, quote unquote, to Wednesday Night Storm. That's not what I mean. What I mean is GAW is changing. General admission wrestling is changing. The paradigm is shifting. And what you once knew this time last year as GAW is not going to continue for much longer. And you need to be watching GAW Academy Storm Chaser, because only then will you understand what that change actually means. Only when you watch through to the end will you understand exactly what we have planned and understand what we truly mean when we say this. The GAW Academy is home, and we will not leave our home.